So once you beat Yami and complete the game, you'll actually get some results. This is how long it took me to do things, mostly because waiting around between recordings or grinding for whatever I usually wouldn't do. And these are all my results for things I completed at the game. These all do play relevancy. You will see play relevancy. That's not a thing you can say. You will see little things on the side there. And for completing all those, by the way, we get another thing. And we'll get into all of that later, exactly what you get. And congratulations! It's a good font. Anyway, what do we get for completing the game? Well, we get Presents from Issun, as well as 3 of these Karmic Transformers. We'll get into more what they do later. Rather, 2 of them and a Karmic Turner. As well as a Stray Bead, completing the String of Beads for collecting all 100 Stray Beads. We'll get into what the String of Beads does later. And for other various things, we get other Karmic Transformers. And again, we'll get into exactly what they do later and how you get them. And the Secret Theater for completing and doing well in everything. But, returning to the menu here, if I will kindly click the button, I don't know. Anyway, I don't think I've ever shown just the menu of the game. It really, I don't know, it's very simple, but I really like it. But anyway, going into this, we have Presents from Issun now. You get this for beating the game. Essentially, what it is a sound test and art viewing thing. Not a lot of games have sound tests anymore, granted this was at least in 2006, so I guess, whatever. Basically, give you concept art for characters, areas, monsters, so on and so forth. I'm not going to show all of them. I'm only going to show some of my favorite ones from each set of art, such as these Ami ones here, monsters and all that. These are more monster-like areas, not monsters itself, because there's a whole bestiary. This is monster artwork. Then there's a bestiary, which is this high resolution. There's Yami. That artwork of Yami looked really, really cool. I don't know. All this art looks absolutely gorgeous, especially this area artwork, this Cave of Nagi. I absolutely love all the artwork in this game, and it is honestly just a good reward for beating the game. This beautiful, beautiful art. I wish I would have used it more during the LP, but I couldn't really think of good areas to use it in, besides, well, now, obviously, and for bios, but at that point it was easier to just use official art and not the bestiary artwork as we see here, so I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the bestiary isn't really worth showing. We've already seen all this art from the bios and such. She's a canine warrior, so that's a bit unique. And, of course, we now have the forms of Yami. I didn't really show these, well, 2 of them at least. And as well, there is a sound test, which is a sound test. That's pretty much, it's nothing special. In terms of a sound test, you just choose an area and you go to that place, you get some sound effects. They give you literally everything though, so it's pretty cool. They even give you in the Wii version, Reset by Akihirahara, which was the credits theme, which was cut out of the Wii version, but it's still in the game's files. So, I don't know. You saw a Reset Thank You version. That was the song that played during the cutscene where the people were praying for Amaterasu. So there's Reset Thank You, and Reset by Akihirahara. And by the way, Theme of the Celestials. I'm not going to play it here, but that was the song we heard while talking to all the Celestials on the Arc of Yamato. That's the song that I played during the end slates. Well, rather a piano arrange of it. There's a whole piano arranged soundtrack with a few songs from Okami on it. And Theme of the Celestials is one of them. I particularly liked it, so I used it for the end slates. Or at least a little snippet of it. About 30 seconds. But anyway, the real interesting thing is the secret gallery here in the video treasure chest. Or rather, you get the video treasure chest just for beating the game. But the 2 things at the very bottom, well, you get those for completing everything. This is an internal company presentation, and I'm just going to let you watch it. Yeah, very different from the game we ended up getting. In art style, it's realistic and not cel-shaded. The name is going to pop up. It's OHKAMI, meaning White Wolf and not Sun God. It was a very, well, not a very different game at the start. I'm sure the concept at that point was the same, but it was gonna look very different. The second one, at this point, they had gotten the art style, but they hadn't gotten exactly the art direction exactly as it is in the final game yet. It was close, like, it's just that divine attribution here looks a bit different. And art style-wise, yeah, it's close. It's very much closer to the final game. However, there are some key differences, mainly, it seems, in combat. We see completely different enemies here, seemingly the brush gods, oddly enough, at least the animals that they use, which is very weird. And you blast lasers out of a reflector. That's not normal for the main game, for the final game. But hey, it looks cool, and I kind of wish you could do that in the final game. That sounds really awesome. But of course, the game is still called Okami. Also, Ami seems to move faster there. There's a bunch of other beta stuff I could technically go over, but for now, we're not. We're not going to go over. There's other channels for that. That's not my thing. Anyway, for beating the game, you get a thing called New Game Plus. So for beating and completing Okami, you will get things called Karmic Transformers, as well as the Karmic Returner. We'll get into what these do later, and we'll get into exactly how you get them, because a lot of them are accomplished, or obtained through accomplishing various things, but we'll get into that soon. For finding all 100 stray beads, we obtain the String of Beads, a new holy artifact. Equipping it makes you invincible, and gives you infinite ink, and increases your attack power by 10. Basically turns you into whatever the hell is above a god. Otherwise, for New Game Plus, all your items carry over, as well as all your weapons, except Solar Flare, the Tundra Beads, and Thunder's Edge. I understand Solar Flare. Kind of understand Thunder's Edge. I don't get the Tundra Beads. Why don't they carry over? It just makes you buy them again. I don't know. But hey, it's not that big of a deal, because all your other items carry over, and the Gold Dust power-ups, if you did power them up with Gold Dust, that is. So, Karmic Transformers, what do? Well, they change your appearance to kind of look like other things in the game. Specifically, the Canine Warriors, for the most part. This first one here makes you look like Canine Warrior Jin, or Ume. More so, you're kind of a puppy. Not quite Chibi-Tarasu, but you're smaller, I guess. You get this one for simply being the game. You don't have to do anything special to get this one. The second Karmic Transformer is in the shape of Canine Warrior Chi. It makes you look a little bit fatter. For some reason, I thought this was a sheep when I first played the game. This was the sheep transformer, but it's not. It's Canine Warrior Chi. You get this one simply for beating the game. The third Karmic Transformer is plain Ami, what Ami would look like if you ran out of ink, and you get this one for S ranking deaths, meaning 4 or less game overs, which is pretty easy to do. You'll probably get this one pretty easily. The fourth Karmic Transformer is Canine Warrior Shin. You get this one for S ranking yen, meaning you've collected 4 million or more yen in your entire adventure in Nippon. It's pretty likely that you'll have this one, I think. You get a lot of yen throughout the entire game. You get Karmic Transformer 5, Canine Warrior Rei, for defeating 550 or more enemies throughout your entire adventure. Karmic Transformer 6, Canine Warrior Tei, is obtained through getting 300 or more Demon Fangs throughout the entire game. These next ones are pretty awesome. You get the Karmic Transformer 7, Shiranui, for S ranking praise, meaning you earned 4,500 or more praise. This one is awesome, and it just makes you look like Shiranui. It's so simple and so predictable, and yet it's so amazing. The next two you also get for doing that. Basically, a Karmic Transformer that turns you into the Ami statue that we were at the beginning of the game before Saki awoke us, when Kamiki and the world was still being ravaged by Orochi's curse at the very beginning of the game in the prologue. This is really cool, very, very unique, very creative idea for a little transformation. It's definitely one of my favorites out of the bunch. The next one is Realistic Ami. Remember that one thing we just watched? Well, they actually took that render, that realistic render of Amaterasu, and made it a Karmic Transformer. This is awesome. This is my favorite one out of all of them. And I love the Shiranui one all, but this one is just so different. And yeah, it clashes with the world and your divine instrument, because that's still cel-shaded, and I think your teeth are still cel-shaded, but it's so incredibly just cool that you get to play as a realistic Ami for getting 4,500 praise, which honestly is not that difficult to do, really. So yeah, none of these Karmic Transformers are particularly difficult to get, but they're all little fun bonuses for completing certain things in the game. But yeah, that's Okami. That is my favorite game of all time. We've done everything. well, everything important. I'm sure I missed a few of the clover spots or some chests across New Poland, but honestly, as long as we maxed out our abilities and bought everything we need to buy, I didn't care. Does the game have flaws? Yeah, certainly. I've gone over those just as I've gone over the things that I find perfect about this game. And, well, the game has flaws. Like, I think I said this during Orochi, the game is like 30 hours long. We saw that in my LP, and your first playthrough is probably going to be 30 hours long without waiting around between recordings and whatnot. And maybe in your first playthrough, like 2 hours of the game is not that great. And that being Catcall Tower and True Orochi. And even then, I don't even mind exploring past Shinshu, so the True Orochi fight is, I don't know, most 15 minutes at most, and that's stretching it. I wouldn't even say that, I would say 10. And then Catcall Tower is like, I don't know, climbing it twice? 25 minutes, let's say? That's being generous. That's not being, that's, what's the word? That's, might be exaggerating it, but still. So overall, I don't think Okami has enough flaws where I can say it's a bad game at all. Of course it's not. It's my favorite game of all time. The perfection of like everything else heavily outbalances the few flaws the game has. And the things it does well, it does really well. I love combat. I love the drawing mechanic. I love the characters. I love the world, the art style, the music, the graphics, everything. The story. God, the story is so amazing. Like, I wish we had more answers about the Moon Tribe, but that is my one little gripe, and I really want a sequel, or like a proper sequel, I should say, on the Wii U, PS4, Xbox One, whatever, that actually clarifies these things. Anyway, that was Let's Play Okami. I think I've done a pretty good job showing why I love this game so much, and I really hope you loved it just as much as I did. But, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next LP.